Hey everyone, this is Joseph for Bastion Trio Productions, here with another exciting tutorial about our Last Witness production, both part 1 and part 2. And what I thought I'd do is go in depth about some color correction things that I was doing for the shoot. Because this particular video was very highly color corrected, and I just want to show you some of the things that I did to make the video look so good because I'm pretty proud of it. I'll just say that right there. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So this is part one, and we have our video here. Um, and so let me just kind of show you what I did. So I'm going to open this up into little chunks. I broke these things down into little chunks. So all of the video that you're watching right now is color corrected. Okay, so I'm going to show you sort of what I did to kind of get this look, because before all this, I'm going to show you what it looked like. So this is this clip right here with color correction, and I'm going to open up my little inspector and show you what it looked like before. So watch the screen here. Bingo. Okay? So you can see some things are happening here. I'm going to go ahead and make some space so you can kind of get a bigger idea. So a couple things are happening here. First of all, this clip is very highly washed out. When I was shooting this video, in particular, I wanted to make sure that I left enough room for color correction. So I set my camera settings so that it was very highly desaturated and decently exposed so that the shadows were not crushed, so that the blacks in the video were not crushed. But as a result, the highlights were very highly blown out. So to achieve the look that I got here, I re-added in saturation and did a little bit of coloring. Now, coloring is not a one-size-fits-all approach. You have to kind of use some wisdom and know what highlights, shadows, and midtones do, as well as look at your shot and see what are the main colors, while at the same time knowing what you want it to look like in the end. So, I'm going to show you the things that I did. So, let's see. First of all, I have a bunch of presets here um, that I use a lot of the time for my videos. So this is with nothing on it, okay? And let's go ahead and start working with this particular shot. Um, I just noticed my expression is not very complimentary, but that's all right. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we see that it's a little too bright. So what we can do is darken the shadows a little bit. And this will start adding in a little bit of contrast as you'll start noticing. It's a little less washed out and there's a little less contrast. So we're also going to lower the highlights to make the background and the bright spots a little darker. Think of highlights as the bright spots in the video and shadows as the dark spots. And the midtones are kind of the middle points. Okay, so looking at this shot, we have to look at the main colors that are in the video. So right away, I see lots of green, green on my camo, green on the background, um, lots of green and brown, okay? So that's something that we're gonna want to pop in this video. We're gonna want it to look like I'm a little bit, camo and camo and camouflage, I should say, with the background. So that's the look that I was going for with this particular shot. But your shots might be a little bit different depending on what you're doing. But I also noticed that in the highlights, remember the bright spots, there is a overtone of blue in this, okay, which I want to get rid of. So I'm going to jump into my color wheel here and grab my highlights and drag it less into the blues. Now I just move it a little bit and you can already see there's a big difference here. Okay, so from here to here, and now I've gotten rid of that blue. So now there's a little bit more warmth in the scene. Okay. Now my shadows, I want to bring in the greens. Okay. So now you can notice those greens are starting to really pop. I don't want to bring it too drastically up, because then it'll start messing with things. But if I bring it into the greens, almost the yellows, you'll start noticing something. I'm going to leave it at about 4%. Okay. Then I'm going to bring my midtones into the reds because again, we have my face, which is a midtone, and we have my camo vest, which is a midtone. So right about there is a good spot. And we'll start tweaking now, okay? So we have our color, but this is again very unsaturated, okay? Even though we added a bunch of color in, this will not start looking really good until we start saturating things and desaturating other things. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is start saturating the greens, okay? So you'll notice, I'm going to go drastic here, that the background is starting to look very green and my face is looking very orange, okay? So let's find a balance. Let's do right about here. That's pretty good. The midtones will go right about there. Okay, so that's pretty good. I might lower the highlights a little bit, make it a little darker, maybe even drop the midtones and make it a little bright like that. And you can start noticing the difference now. I also, once you find a shot that you like and you have maybe you're cutting back repeatedly to the same shot and you have to color it, unfortunately, Final Cut does not let you, just copy and paste it to all your other videos that you want the same coloring to look. But you can save it as a preset here. You click on the presets and you say save preset and you just drag it in. I actually saved a preset. I don't remember exactly what I did. It doesn't really matter now, the video's out. But, oh, witness bright shots, let's see. Yeah, that's way too dark. That's about right. That's about what I had. So, the coloring, okay, so yeah, basically what I just did. Um, I actually like it the other way, without the blues. Yeah, makes it a little bit more realistic. Yeah, pretty cool. So that's basically it. If you want a general overall tint, you can grab the global, kind of bring it up, bring saturation up. Not too much. You don't want to be too drastic with this stuff because the coloring, you'll start noticing pretty immediate effects. Um, but that's one shot. I want to show you a more drastic shot that I worked on. Let me go back here. And starting here, um, I want to show you. Okay, so there's a difference. I want to show you something real fast. Okay, so this is color corrected. Okay, everything's color corrected in these shots. But I want to also show you there's a difference between color corrected. This is just making it look normal, I would say. And then there's color grading, which is accomplishing a look for the shot. And in my final shots, you can see I did some color grading. So that's an additional coloring. And there's some presets that Final Cut has called Combat, which you can find in the Combat section here. So there's a bunch of looks that you can add on. So I added on Combat and tweaked with the look a little bit. I added some grain to make it more film-like. I kind of wanted a reddish, greenish, yellowy tint to this video, especially with these shots in particular. But I want to show you kind of what I did for this shot in particular because this had a lot of stuff that I added to it. I want to show you the drastic difference between the color corrected version and the non-color corrected version. Are you ready for this? This will just blow your mind. I know it. Like I really know it. Okay, here we go. Yep, that's what I filmed. When we were filming this shot, that's what it looked like. Now imagine most of that video, of the video that I have, that I brought in, that I edited, looking like this. That's pretty discouraging when you first think about it. Going from this to this is just pretty cool, in my opinion. Okay, so I kind of want to break down the things that I did here. So I'm going to actually make a copy because I'm really proud of that, and I don't want to mess it up. So I'm going to actually make a copy. Okay, and we'll work with this one. So this one is just my copy. Okay, so let's go ahead and set it to none. I have a preset that I actually set as none with no color correction. Okay, so the first thing we want to do, again, it is really overexposed. So let's bring down the highlights right about there. Now we need some contrast, drastically. And there you start noticing, oh, there's my face. um, right about there is good. We can also mess with the midtones. I might bring the shadows up and bring the midtones down. Yeah, we want to find a balance. We want it to look bright, but not that bright. Okay, so let's start getting this color correction going. Okay, so it is pretty dark right now. I'm actually going to bring up the highlights because we want it to be bright, but not too bright. Okay, so the highlights again, really, really blue, if you notice. I just want you to, it's hard for me to describe what's going on in my mind. I see this, and if you look, the overall tone of the video is blue. I don't know if you guys can see that, but if you look here, that's more blue. That's kind of blue. All these rays of light, that's pretty bluish. Okay, we don't want it to look blue on a hot day. Okay, so we want to get rid of that. So we bring the highlights in the blues and we go down. Okay, so that makes it a little bit more yellowy, right? Because the opposite of blue is yellow. All right, so now for the shadows, let's add some green. Not too much, remember, just like 3% or so. Let's bring our midtones into the yellows, yellowy reddish. And there we are. All right, now let's saturate. Saturate the shadows and saturate the midtones. I'm just going to do a brief comparison here. Okay, so in the original shot, I actually added more red. So, okay, I like that. Let's add more red. Let's add a global red. No, not a global red. Let's not do that. I rarely work with the global stuff unless I can totally see the whole thing is. That's a little too red in my opinion, but yeah. Okay, so right about there is pretty good. We could even add a little green in the shadowy areas. We're trying to bring out that green in this area here in this portion. I'm gonna click so you can kind of just see my little cursor doing the boingy thingy. And then we're trying to bring out, kind of bring out the color in this dirt, that I'm kind of running because the special effects that we have going on here are pretty, intense. So we want it to like look intense. So you can kind of see the difference. I mean, I don't know. I like both. Both have a different look. And, you kind of never do it the same way twice. That's kind of why I add presets. When I like something, I'll save it as a preset. I think I have this as a preset. Yeah. So there's my preset, you know. Um, and in these videos, I don't take away the blues. That's why you can kind of see maybe a little bit of a purple look in this video. It almost looks a little purple, I would actually globally take out the purple, because it looks a little too purple. This is with nothing. And then this is with just a little bit less purple. And that looks about normal. And then you can saturate a bit. Saturate the midtones and the shadows. Maybe even the highlights a little. Okay, and when you finish that, and you finished all your stuff, you're finished color correcting your videos, then you want to do your color grading. And that's what sets the official overall look of the video. But anyway, this is kind of just this wasn't meant to be too long. The hard part when I was learning how to color correct was learning to look at my videos and see what was needed. I want to show you another shot. I'm going to get rid of this video here. I want to show you another shot that really shows, I don't know, I'm trying to find it. Kind of shows the power of color correction. This shot here. This one here. Right here, yeah. Okay, so this is with color correction. And you can notice it looks pretty dusty, and the shot before shows an explosion going off and casting dirt everywhere, and the next shot is me kind of ducking behind cover. But this is what it looked like before. Now, what's the problem with this video? Well, number one, I see a ton of blue when I should be seeing yellow and red. And number two, I can see myself like really clearly, and I feel like I can't see. I feel like all that dust that was there just suddenly went away, which is not very good. So I'm going to add my color correction, and I'm just gonna kind of show you what I did this time. Globally, I added a yellowy red look. Now you notice as I get rid of it, you can kind of see that my dust doesn't look actually that real. But when you tint it, it looks a little bit more. I can't even do it anymore. Where was it? There. You can kind of see that it looks a little bit more dirty. I also made it look like I had way more dirt in this shot than I actually did by by kind of bringing up my shadows more than they should have been. So this is without anything, and then if you bring it up, it's basically overexposing. So just to demonstrate, if I got rid of all the color, this is like overexposing, you know? And then it makes it look like there's dust here even though there was nothing. Okay? So when I bring all the color back in, there's that colory overexposure, which makes it look like there's dust everywhere. It's a little cheap trick you can do. Just be careful you don't go too far. The hard part with color correcting, and you can check out my older videos and see how bad I was at color correcting or my lack of color correcting when it was needed, and see, some if you go over the top, your color correction is not going to work. But if you do it right, it really brings out the nice look of you know of the shot. This is without color. This is without color correction, and this is with. Suddenly, that dirt looks a lot more muddy. You know. All right. Now I'm just bragging. No, but I was really proud of this. This shot just looks amazing. It looked pretty good even without color correction now. Like that's a pretty cool looking shot. It's just very desaturated. Um, so again, one of the ways you can get this stuff, get this kind of look, your camera. I'm working on a Canon T3i, and most cameras they automatically do some color correction. Um, but as a filmmaker, you want the control. You want control over everything that you do, um, which means you have to record your videos in such a way that you can have control. And if your camera is automatically giving you the saturation and the color correction, you don't have control over that. So you have to set your camera settings to settings that will allow you to do that. So for my Canon T3i, I set my saturation down all the way. I set pretty much any color things that it said. I made it on a custom coloring thing. I set it down pretty much all the way. I set down my contrast all the way. So it's all the way down to all the way down on contrast, all the way down on saturation. Any filter effects I got rid of, anything like that. And that's one of my settings I have on my camera so that when I shoot videos, I can color correct it the way I want to later in post. You don't have to do it this way, but if you want to get better at your color correction, this is a good way to do it. Making sure coloring matches in shots is really, really important to preserve a look that you want to go for. This is very red looking, this is very green looking. He's in a ditch with a lot of plants. You want to bring out those colors. There's a reason why this shot is like the cover picture for part 1 of The Last Witness. So anyway, I also wanted to show you part 2 of the video with the color correction, and I have to scroll a long time to get to it. Color correction, Last Witness part 2. Here we go. All right. Wow, that was a really dorky face. Okay, this is kind of the area I want to show you. This conversation here, it's pretty amazing the color correction that happens here, and you don't even really notice it because you're such a blind bat. No, okay. So for these particular shots with our anonymous actor here, who will be described as Mr. Bond, I want to show you the color correction that happened here. Okay, so pay attention. Here we go. Yup, that's it. Boom, 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 boom. How about Nicholas's shots? Boom, 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 boom. How about me? Boom, 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 boom. You like that? You like those sound effects? You like the color correction if you don't like the sound effects? Moving on. Okay, so basically, this is all color corrected. Same kind of thing. I'll show you kind of what I did. Uh, Again, I didn't want this shot outside. You know, I shot this outside. I underexposed it. I kind of regret underexposing it when I was recording. This is with none. So, where's my none preset? This is how it looked like before. Notice the blacks are really crushed. Like, that could be a matte almost. I could like make this a replacement and put anything here. It's that dark. Um, so the first thing you want to do is go into your exposure and shadows and bring that way up, like right there. Okay? Because now you can see detail in the shot. The highlights can afford to go down a tad, and the midtones need to go up. You know, the overall color, this is where I use the global. You kind of want it to be a little bit orangey red. The shadows, let's see. That's kind of a good shot already. Let's see. Bring it up. No, not there yet. Okay. I always saturate later because I can kind of get the idea of my color in the shots, and then when I add it in later, I'm not making sense. What am I saying? I always kind of saturate later on so that I can see, because the saturation just adds more color. So if I like it with a little bit of color, I'll like it with a lot more color. I'm doing this really fast, but that's kind of what I'm going for. I can bring the right about there. Yep. It's kind of what happens. Okay? So comparison. Let's do a comparison. Pretty cool. How about Mr. Bond's shots? These are very orangey, if you notice. I wanted it to have that warm look on purpose. So that's what it was before. Let's bring up the midtones. Yay, we can see his face. And we'll add a warm look. Add a red. Very light red. Highlights, we want blue because it's nighttime. And let's see what that looks like. Bring that global down. Yeah, right about there. We need to bring these up a bit. Hooray! Roughly. It's very rough. Well, you can even... Yeah. Right about there. You can kind of see what happens here in these shots. It's pretty cool. And you're trying to match the coloring from shot to shot. So again, I shot very desaturated. My shots here did not turn out the way I really was hoping, but my shots usually never do. I mean, I despise my acting most of the time. So anyway, this is kind of a quick demonstration of what happens when I'm color correcting and what happens when I am going crazy, working on a shot and working on a shoot and working on a movie. And if I haven't totally bored you, good. I need to bore you now. We're going to do this really slow. Now this is just getting crazy. Okay, I'm gonna let you guys go. I'll end with a smile. All right, see you guys.